My sister stole the money from my room and spent it. She thought I was going to cry, but I smiled. Stay with me while I walk you through what really happened. And if this story connects with you, don't forget to show some love by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with people who matter to you. My name is Janelle Whitaker. I'm 21 years old, a college student, and someone who's had to learn the meaning of hard work very early in life. While most of my friends spent their summers hanging out or taking easy part-time jobs, I was always clocking into 2 shifts a day, one at a diner and another at a local store, just to keep myself afloat. Every single dollar I made, I treated like gold, because it wasn't just money. It was my future. I was saving up for my nursing program tuition, and that stack of bills tucked away in my drawer was the only thing keeping me motivated through all the long nights. Then there's my sister, Tiana Whitaker. She's 18, the baby of the family, and everyone knows it. She's beautiful, full of energy, but careless when it comes to money. Spoiled might be the better word. My mom, Carla, tries her best. She's a single parent, juggling bills and doing what she can to keep us going. But no matter how much she loves us both, she has a soft spot for Tiana. Maybe it's because Tiana's the youngest. Maybe it's because she plays the part of the helpless little girl so well. Whatever it is, Tiana always gets away with things I never could. Growing up, I got used to hearing things like, "Janelle, you're the responsible one," while Tiana was the baby who just needs time. That difference carried over into everything, even money. Tiana always wanted what she couldn't afford: new clothes, fancy sneakers, makeup. And when she ran out of cash, she turned to me. Every time she asked, I said no because I couldn't risk it. I wasn't saving for fun. I was saving to change my life. But saying no to Tiana was like daring her. She'd pout, roll her eyes, and mutter about how I never helped her. I brushed it off, but deep down I worried. That envelope of savings in my drawer wasn't just paper. It was my dream of becoming a nurse, of not being stuck in the same cycle of struggle my mom lived in. And the more Tiana nagged me, the more I felt like a storm was coming. I didn't know when. I didn't know how. But I knew my sister too well. She wasn't going to stop at asking. And one day, when I came home tired from another long shift, I'd find out just how far she was willing to go. And when that day came, she thought she had broken me. But she didn't know that the smile on my face was the beginning of everything. I came home late that evening, my body aching from the double shift I had just finished. All I could think about was crawling into bed and maybe counting my savings to remind myself why all of this hard work was worth it. I walked into my room, dropped my bag on the floor, and went straight to the drawer where I always kept the envelope with my cash. I pulled the drawer open and froze. The envelope wasn't there. My heart dropped instantly. At first, I told myself maybe I had moved it and forgotten. I checked under my books, inside my closet, even under my mattress, but the envelope was gone. My hands were shaking as I tore through every corner of my room. It wasn't just money. It was $2,500, the savings I had built up dollar by dollar, hour by hour, to pay for my nursing program. Without that money, everything I had been working for felt like it was slipping away. The panic turned into anger, and then into suspicion. I didn't need to be a detective to figure out who could have taken it. There was only one person in this house bold enough, careless enough, and selfish enough to steal it. My little sister, Tiana. I stormed into the living room, where she was sitting on the couch scrolling through her phone. "Tiana, did you go into my room?" I asked, my voice sharper than I expected. She glanced up, smirking like she had nothing to hide. "Why? What's the big deal?" I clenched my fists. "Don't play games with me. My money is gone. The envelope I kept in my drawer, $2,500. Did you take it?" For a second, she laughed like it was some kind of joke. Then she leaned back and said, "Yeah, I took it. And so what? You'll make it back. You always do." Her arrogance hit me harder than the theft itself. My chest tightened as she reached down beside the couch and pulled up a shiny designer bag. She set it on her lap like a trophy and slid her feet forward, showing off brand new sneakers that cost more than I made in a week. "You like them?" she asked with a grin. "I needed them. And honestly, you'll be fine, Janelle. You're always working. Money comes easy to you." I couldn't believe the words coming out of her mouth. Easy. Did she think the long nights, the sore feet, the endless hours on my feet were easy? Did she think saving every tip, every dollar, skipping things I wanted was easy? My throat burned, and for a moment I couldn't even find words. She sat there, proud of herself, while I stood there shattered. That money wasn't just paper. It was my future, and she had thrown it away on things she didn't even need. I felt the sting of betrayal, so deep it almost made me dizzy. And as much as I wanted to scream, I knew this wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. I stood in the hallway for a long moment, trying to steady my breathing before I went to find my mom. Maybe she could finally see Tiana for who she really was. Maybe she would understand how much this hurt me. I walked into the kitchen where Mom was rinsing dishes and blurted out, "Mom, Tiana stole my money. All of it. Every single dollar I saved for school." She paused, her hands frozen in the sink, and turned to look at me. "What do you mean she stole it?" "I mean exactly that," I said, my voice trembling with anger. $2,500. She admitted it. She bought herself a bag and shoes with it. "Mom, that was my tuition money. The money I worked myself to the bone for." I expected fire in her eyes, the kind of anger she used to have when we were kids and we misbehaved. I expected her to storm into the living room and demand that Tiana give everything back. But instead she sighed, dried her hands on a towel, and shook her head slowly. "Janelle, she's just young. She didn't mean it like that. You'll make the money back. You're good with responsibility. You'll figure it out." Her words cut deeper than anything Tiana had said. My jaw dropped, and I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath me. "Are you serious right now? Mom, she stole from me. She ruined everything I've been working toward. And you're telling me I'll just make it back?" But Mom's eyes were tired, almost pleading. "I don't want to fight about this. She's the baby. She doesn't always think things through. You know how she is." I stood there, completely stunned. Invisible. Like my pain didn't matter at all. Like my months of sacrifice meant nothing, because I wasn't the one who got special treatment. Behind me, I heard the sound of soft laughter. I turned, and there was Tiana leaning against the wall with her arms crossed, grinning like she had just won. "See," she said lightly. "You'll always be the responsible one, Janelle. That's your thing. And me? I get to enjoy life." Her words dripped with arrogance, and my mom didn't say a single thing to correct her. That moment burned into me. The bag she held, the sneakers she flaunted, my mother's silence. It all mixed into one painful knot in my chest. I swallowed hard, biting down on the urge to scream. I could cry, I could beg, I could fight, but none of it would matter. They had already decided who I was in this family. The dependable one. The one who could handle it. The one who could always take the hit. But inside me, something shifted. If they thought I was just going to accept this, they were wrong. I wasn't going to be the victim this time. The first sparks of a plan flickered quietly in the back of my mind. Revenge wasn't just a thought. It was starting to feel like a promise. That night, after everything had been said and after my mother's words had cut me deeper than I thought possible, I sat quietly in the living room. Tiana sprawled across the couch, scrolling through her phone, her new bag placed right in front of her like a trophy. She caught my eye and smirked, expecting me to break down again, maybe cry, maybe beg for some sort of apology that she'd never give. But I didn't. Instead, I felt something stir inside me. My lips curved into a slow, cold smile. Not the kind of smile you give when you're happy, but the kind you give when you've already decided something no one else knows about. Tiana's eyebrows twitched for just a second, her confidence faltering. "What are you smiling about?" she asked, her voice laced with annoyance. I didn't answer right away. I just leaned back in the chair, folding my arms, keeping my eyes locked on hers until she looked away. It was small, barely noticeable, but I saw it, the uneasiness. The way she shifted in her seat, covering it up with a fake laugh. "You're weird," she muttered, shaking her head like she was still the one in control. She thought I was broken, but I wasn't. I had been angry, yes. Hurt, definitely. But now I was calm. Calm in a way that scared even me. Because the moment I smiled, I knew I wasn't going to let this go. I stopped complaining to Mom. I stopped arguing with Tiana. I let the house fall quiet, pretending I had moved on. To everyone else, it looked like I had accepted my role. The dependable older sister who would keep pushing through no matter what. But inside, I was building something. A plan. A strategy. I realized then that fighting them head-on was useless. Mom would always make excuses for her baby, and Tiana would always hide behind that shield. So, if I wanted justice, I couldn't depend on anyone else. I would have to handle it myself. At night, lying in bed, I played scenarios over and over in my head. I thought about her arrogance, her greed, the way she couldn't resist taking what didn't belong to her. And with each thought, my smile grew sharper. Tiana kept acting like nothing had happened. She paraded around with her sneakers, carried her bag to school, laughed loudly on the phone with her friends about how she had scored. But every time she saw me, she noticed that same smile. And though she tried to hide it, I knew it rattled her. I didn't need to shout. I didn't need to cry. I just needed patience. Because I understood something Tiana didn't. People like her always hang themselves. All I had to do was give her the rope. And when the time was right, I'd be the one holding the other end. I started watching Tiana more carefully than ever. Not in an obvious way, but quietly like a shadow. Every move she made, every excuse she gave, every time she left the house later than she claimed, nothing escaped me anymore. I noticed patterns. She would come home with little things she couldn't possibly afford: makeup, jewelry, clothes. At first, I thought maybe she was just reckless with the allowance Mom still slipped her. But it didn't add up. She wasn't just careless with my money. She was careless with everyone's. One Sunday, at a family gathering, my cousin whispered to me that $20 had gone missing from her purse. I didn't say anything, but I already knew. Another time, Grandma was nearly in tears because one of her rings had vanished from her jewelry box. Mom brushed it off, saying Grandma probably misplaced it, but I knew better. The pieces were falling into place. The worst was when a neighbor came knocking, furious about strange charges on her credit card. She said her card had gone missing during a visit. I watched from the hallway as Mom apologized over and over, swearing it had nothing to do with us. But I saw Tiana's face. She stayed quiet, biting her lip, her eyes darting away. She didn't confess, of course. She never did. But I could read her like a book. The more I discovered, the heavier the truth sank in. Tiana didn't feel guilt. Not even a drop. She walked around as if the world owed her everything and consequences were something other people had to deal with. To her, stealing wasn't even wrong. It was just part of her lifestyle. She believed she could get away with it forever. That was when I knew I had to be smarter. I couldn't just accuse her without proof. Mom would defend her, like always, and I'd be painted as the overreacting older sister. So I started small. I left $10 on my desk, tucked under a notebook, but still visible enough to tempt. By the next morning, it was gone. I tried again. This time a 20 slipped halfway out of my wallet on the dresser. Gone within hours. Every single time, Tiana proved who she really was. She couldn't resist. And the way she acted afterward, so smug and careless, only fueled the fire building inside me. I was collecting more than evidence. I was collecting understanding. I was studying her, learning exactly how far she would go and how blind she was to the trap I was slowly weaving around her. To her, it was easy money. To me, it was confirmation. Every stolen bill was another brick in the wall I was building, the wall that would eventually close in on her. I didn't need to rush. I didn't need to expose her yet. All I needed was patience, and the patience was turning into power. Because soon, Tiana wouldn't just steal something meaningless, she'd steal the wrong thing. And when she did, I'd be ready. The idea came to me one night as I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of Tiana's arrogance in my head. She thought she was untouchable, that no matter what she took, she could laugh it off and move on. I knew I couldn't just keep setting small traps with a few dollars here and there. That only proved what I already knew. If I wanted to end this, I had to give her something big, something she wouldn't be able to wiggle her way out of. So when payday came, I cashed my check instead of depositing it like usual. I held the crisp bills in my hand, feeling the weight of them. This money was real, and I was about to use it for something far more valuable than groceries or bills. It was going to be the rope Tiana used to hang herself. I slid the money into an envelope and with a black marker, wrote in big bold letters, "Rent money, do not touch." I underlined it twice for good measure. Then I placed it in my drawer, not too deep, not too hidden, just enough that someone snooping around would find it. And I already knew exactly who that someone would be. But I didn't stop there. The key to the trap wasn't just the bait, it was the story I wrapped around it. Later that evening, as Mom sat in the living room folding laundry, I made sure my voice carried down the hall. "Mom, I've got the rent money ready. The landlord said he's coming next week, so I've got it set aside in my drawer. It has to stay there until then." I caught Tiana out of the corner of my eye, pretending to scroll through her phone on the couch. But I knew she was listening. Her ears always perked up at the mention of money. Mom just nodded distractedly. "That's good, honey. At least we don't have to stress about rent this month." I said it again, louder this time. "Yep, rent money. Can't touch it. Landlord needs it." I almost smiled right then, but I held it in. Later that night, as I brushed my teeth, I passed by Tiana's room. The glow of her phone lit up her face, and I could see the way she stared at the designer site she was browsing. Her eyes lit up every time she scrolled past something flashy. I didn't need proof to know what was already happening in her head. She was weighing the risk, convincing herself it would be fine, telling herself that I'd make it back like always. By the time I lay in bed, the house was quiet, but I didn't sleep. I didn't need to. I knew exactly what would happen next. The bait was set, the trap in place. And Tiana? She never could resist. The next morning, I opened my drawer before heading to work, and just as I expected, the envelope was gone. Not a trace of it left behind. My stomach twisted, not with surprise, but with a sharp satisfaction. She had taken the bait. I closed the drawer calmly, grabbed my bag, and walked out of my room as if nothing had happened. Tiana didn't even look up from the couch when I passed her, but I caught the smug little grin tugging at her lips. She thought she'd won again. I didn't mention it to Mom. I didn't confront Tiana. I kept my mouth shut and waited. Patience was all I needed now. The real storm would come soon, and when it did, she wouldn't be able to laugh her way out of it. 7 days later, right on schedule, there was a knock at the door. Mom opened it, and our landlord stood there, clipboard in hand. "Rent's due today," he said plainly. I stepped forward, my voice calm but clear. "We don't have it." Mom spun around to face me, her eyes wide. "What do you mean we don't have it? You told me you set the money aside." "I did," I said, my eyes locking on Tiana. "But it's gone now. Because she stole it." For the first time, Tiana's mask slipped. Her face paled, but she quickly forced a laugh. "She's lying. Why would I take the rent money? That's insane." But Mom's panic was already bubbling. "Janelle, this isn't funny. We can't mess with rent like this." "It's not a joke," I said firmly. "I have proof." I disappeared into Tiana's room before she could stop me. I had been there days earlier, planting little markers, making sure I knew where everything was hidden. I came back holding a crumpled receipt from the boutique downtown, dated just a day after the money disappeared. I dropped it on the table. "That's not mine." Tiana snapped, her voice high and shaky. I didn't argue. Instead, I pulled open her closet door and yanked out a shopping bag stuffed with tags she hadn't even bothered to throw away. Price tags from sneakers, makeup, clothes, hundreds of dollars gone in an instant. Her eyes darted to Mom, searching for sympathy, but I wasn't done yet. I took out my phone, pulled up the screenshots I had saved, and held them out. Texts from Tiana to her friends, bragging. "Snagged the rent money. Easy. Guess who's getting new kicks this week?" The room went silent. Mom's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes filling with tears. The landlord cleared his throat awkwardly, muttering that he'd give us a short extension before walking back outside. Tiana was trapped. Her excuses, her fake laughter, her arrogance, all of it crumbled under the weight of the evidence. For the first time, she had no shield. She was caught, and she knew it. Carla sat at the kitchen table, her hands trembling against the mug of coffee that had long gone cold. Janelle stood by the counter, arms folded, her face unreadable. Tiana shifted uncomfortably in the chair across from their mom, her usual cocky smirk wiped clean. The evidence Janelle had laid out, receipts, shopping bags, and the screenshots of texts, was still scattered across the table like shattered glass. There was no denying it now. For the first time in years, Carla's voice cracked as she turned to her younger daughter. "Tiana, how could you do this? To your own family? To your sister who's been nothing but good to you?" Tears brimmed in her eyes, and her chest rose and fell unevenly as though she was struggling to breathe. Tiana's lips trembled. She wanted to laugh it off, to dismiss it like she always did, but the weight of Carla's disappointment was crushing. The defiance slipped, and for the first time, she looked small. I didn't mean for it to get this far," she muttered, staring down at the floor. Janelle said nothing. Her silence was louder than any scream could have been. Carla wiped at her tears, her voice firming. "You're going to fix this, Tiana. Every single thing you bought with that money, you're selling it. You'll pay Janelle back every cent." Tiana's head snapped up. "What? That stuff is mine." Yours." Carla cut in, her tone sharper than Tiana had ever heard. "Nothing about this was yours. You stole. You lied. And you made a fool out of me for defending you. You will make it right." Janelle finally stepped forward, her movements slow, deliberate. Her face carried no trace of anger, only an icy calm. "Keep the money, Tiana," she said softly, her words slicing sharper than any shout. "I don't need it back." Both Carla and Tiana blinked in confusion. Carla furrowed her brows. Janelle, she owes you. No, Janelle interrupted, her eyes fixed on her sister. She can keep it, because this isn't about the money anymore. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a chilling calm. It's about the fact that you thought I was weak enough to keep taking it. You thought I'd always cry, always let it slide. Not anymore. Tiana felt her throat tighten. The calm in Janelle's eyes unnerved her more than any shouting ever could. For the first time, she realized Janelle wasn't scared of her anymore. That smile, the same one that had haunted her since that night, now flickered again on Janelle's lips, controlled and deliberate. Carla sat back, stunned. She had expected her eldest to demand repayment, maybe even press for punishment. But this quiet refusal, this calm dismissal, it sent a message even louder. Tiana swallowed hard, the weight of her sister's shift pressing on her chest. Something had changed. The power she had always wielded so carelessly had slipped through her fingers. And Janelle wasn't planning on giving it back. The morning Janelle left, the apartment was unusually quiet. She had packed her bags the night before, moving with careful precision, so neither her mom nor Tiana would suspect a thing. Most of her savings were already safe in a separate account she had opened months earlier, tucked away where no wandering hands could reach. The envelope of rent money had only been bait, a sacrifice she was willing to make for the bigger picture. When Carla woke up, she found a short note on the kitchen table. I love you, Mom. But I can't keep living like this. I need peace. Don't worry about me. No anger, no accusations, just a clean break. By the time Tiana shuffled into the kitchen, still groggy, Janelle was already gone. Her absence hung heavy in the air. The apartment suddenly felt too large, too cold. Carla sat silently, holding the note with shaking hands, while Tiana frowned. For once, she didn't have a comeback ready. The days that followed were brutal. Without Janelle's steady paycheck, the rent notice on the fridge turned from a distant worry into an urgent crisis. Carla begged Tiana to help, but her daughter had never held down a job for more than a week. Still, reality had cornered her, and there was no sister to clean up the mess. With the landlord's warnings piling up, Tiana was forced to apply for work, first at a retail store, then waiting tables. Gone were the days of stolen shopping sprees and bragging to friends about her luck. Now she worked long hours, coming home exhausted, smelling like grease and sweat. The same friends she used to show off for stopped answering her calls once she no longer had money to flash. The debts loomed like shadows, and every dollar she earned slipped away to cover the bills she had once laughed at. Meanwhile, Janelle's life bloomed in ways she had only dreamed of. Free from the constant weight of being her family's responsible one, she finally stepped into her own light. She rented a small studio closer to the university, modest but hers alone. She poured her energy into her nursing program, studying late into the night without the distraction of stolen money or family chaos. For the first time, her future felt like hers, not something her sister could sabotage. Every now and then, Carla would call, her voice tired and worn. She never asked Janelle for money again, perhaps out of guilt, perhaps out of respect. Janelle listened, offered kind words, but she never returned home. Her peace was too precious to trade back. As months passed, Tiana's arrogance eroded under the grind of real life. She learned the taste of responsibility, not through choice, but through consequence. She had no one left to steal from, no sister to manipulate, no easy escape. And Janelle? She smiled more freely these days. Her revenge had never been about yelling or payback. It was about walking away with her head high, leaving Tiana to drown in the mess she had built. In the end, Janelle thrived, while her sister struggled in the shadow of her own choices. My sister thought the day she slipped into my room, opened my drawer, and took what wasn't hers would be the day she broke me. She thought that by stealing my savings, she could laugh while I crumbled, that I would cry and beg, maybe even forgive her like I always did. But what she never realized was that moment. The exact second I caught her flaunting the bag and sneakers she bought with my tuition money wasn't the end of me. It was the end of her easy life. I didn't break. I didn't scream. I didn't even shed a tear. I smiled. And that smile wasn't for her. It was for me. It was the quiet promise I made to myself that her betrayal wouldn't define me, but it would define her. From that moment, every step I took was a step toward freedom, and every careless laugh she threw at me was one more nail in the coffin of her own downfall. Now, as I sit in my small but peaceful apartment, books spread across my desk, preparing for my nursing exams, I think back to that night when I chose not to cry. Life feels lighter now, free of the constant weight of being the only one who cared, the only one who worked, the only one who sacrificed. I walked away, carrying my future with me, while she stayed behind, chained to the consequences of her own greed. Tiana never imagined her world could collapse so quickly. She never thought she'd be working double shifts just to keep the lights on, that the very mother who once defended her would now look at her with disappointment instead of excuses. She wanted to ruin me, but she ended up ruining herself. And the irony? I didn't have to lift a hand to punish her. All I had to do was smile, step back, and let her own choices swallow her whole. Sometimes late at night, I remember the look on her face when the landlord demanded rent and she was exposed. When Mom finally saw the truth she had ignored for years. There was no pride left in her eyes, no arrogance, just panic. That's when I knew my smile had worked. Not because I wanted her destroyed, but because she finally had to live the life she mocked me for living. Working, struggling, learning responsibility. People say revenge is loud, dramatic, explosive. But mine wasn't. Mine was silent, patient, and clean. It wasn't about getting even, it was about getting free. And freedom tastes sweeter than any stolen dollar ever could. So yes, she thought stealing my money would ruin me. Instead, it freed me. It gave me the push I needed to walk away and build a life where my hard work actually counts. And every time I smile now, I remember that first one. The smile that told me I was stronger than her betrayal, and that her downfall had already begun. Do you think Janelle was right to walk away and let her sister deal with the consequences? Or should she have stayed and tried to fix things at home? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd really love to hear them. And if stories like this connect with you, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one.